Where do you see, of the three big types of fertiliser, the growth areas for the markets?
Well, in the green revolution of the 60s and 70s, a lot of the focus was on increasing use of nitrogen fertilizers because that had been the main limiter to crop growth, and there was massive growth in nitrogen fertilizer consumption in that period and beyond. Now, in some regions, that left phosphate and potash behind because there were residual amounts of phosphate and potash in the soil which the crops could use. But as yields have increased, that phosphate and potash has been mined from the soil by increased crop production, and a lot of areas are now deficient in phosphate and potash. So whereas all fertilizer categories are going to be growing over the next 10 to 20 years, growth is probably going to be stronger in phosphate and potash as those imbalances in nutrient application are corrected.
So is that why we're seeing a lot of movement in ownership of companies, a lot of bidding going on for control and consolidation of the sector?
Yes, I think if you particularly look at potash, which in the years that I've been analysing the fertiliser market was all very much the poor relation. Not much happened in potash. There was overcapacity in the world and prices were very, very stable. As potash demand started to pick up, probably from around 2004 and then particularly in 2007, 2008, that surplus capacity was very quickly absorbed. And for the first time in 30 years, we saw very sharp price rises stimulated by this tight market, and also the need for investment, which hadn't been a factor for many years. And this resulted in both existing producers looking at brownfield expansions and new developments, but it had also attracted a lot of interest from outside the sector. Big companies looked at saying, this is a business we want to be in, we see this as a growth business. And of course the combination of that was the bid by BHP Billiton for Potash Corp, one of the world's biggest potash producers. And I have to say, I saw something that I thought I would never see, which was the word potash on the front page of the FT for 2 days running. And that showed the attention there. But here was seen as a resource that needed investment and that would be a profitable business for people to move into the sector. And there's a lot of junior miners as well looking at projects.
And now we've got the Glencore Viterra move as well in Canada.
Yes, I mean, they've never been big players. Both those groups were traders in the past, and played in the fertilizer sector some years back. And I think it's the realization that fertilizers are the key to food security, to increase crop production, has drawn a lot of attention into the sector.